Also, also,
So here we are at the desk where we're going to look at one of the apps that I use. As I've said, I've used Echovox for a long time, and I use VoxBox specifically for the Bank B and for putting my own audio into the banks, which allowed me to test further to see if we can gain spirit communication through smaller snippets of audio. This was a good test to see that there was no pareidolia. I knew exactly what was there, and to see, and it blew my mind. You've seen the video. The video is on this channel. I was absolutely shocked at the evidence that come through. By Mark Kultis. I hope I pronounce his name properly. By Mark Kultis. I hope I pronounce his name properly. So I have been using the VoxBox on a few locations lately. I have been using Echovox as well, on and off. I know Echovox works. It's an amazing, amazing tool. If you've been around the channel for a longer time, you'll understand. To start with, I was really skeptical about, applications working with Spirit. It wasn't until I done some more research, I done some more testing, and then dived deep into it and got my own evidence and my own ideas on exactly what was happening. So all that information is on the channel. People who have been following understand that my journey started at Macduff's Castle with an amazing capture which was impossible to get.
hello.
Glasgow.
For the VoxBox here, it was similar. After I'd put my files into Bank B, basically we connected the USB over. The guy who created this app explains exactly that there's two user banks there, and I dragged and dropped all of my files over to Bank B and began using. Now the thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to run a test, not for Spirit communication, much in the same way as these guys who make the apps will run various tests to ensure that the random noise generation works suitably for Spirit communication, as in providing these snippets of audio for Spirit to manipulate. But if you want to go through and check them all, if you're really cynical about the whole thing, yeah, I mean, you can do it and put a video up and show it. And just to show you, these are the same files. This is what. Yeah. So this is what I've been using. So I done the same thing at the same desk here. This is my little desk that sits behind me in my office here. This is where I do all my testing. It's a bit worn down now, but this is where I do my equipment testing, and I do some other pieces on here for the paranormal. But you'll remember I had it set up here, and as I asked at the beginning, as I said at the beginning, made by Mark Kultis. I hope I pronounced his name properly, and you heard I talked to him come through.
Yeah.
The VoxBox by Mark Kultis. I hope I pronounced his name properly. Let me just stop this now. That has never come through again. That tone of voice, could you say, or that style of voice has never come through again either. So I find that really interesting, because we have done hours of usage on this at places like Balgony Castle and the different caves that we've been working at, and Macduff's Castle and the Royal Hotel, and so many places we've used the actual box now, and we've never come across that same part. But there is something so much deeper. You've got to really test it. I mean, if you put this on once, or the Echovox or any other apps from many of the creators out there who are making apps for this kind of work, if you put them on and you try to just listen live, and you give it 1 or 2 sessions and you say, oh, this thing doesn't work, and you put it away, you've lost a massive opportunity for Spirit communication. You really need to use these types of devices for an extended period of time and get used to what you're working with, and start to recognise those things that fall outside the patterns of the devices that you're using and the software that you're using. A lot of people who may not be familiar with paranormal investigations and things may just throw on these apps and try and listen live, and they don't record their sessions. I'm going to let you into a secret here. Around about 90% of the captures that come through, things like VoxBox and EchoVox or other devices, you can't hear live. You've got to analyse your audio. And what we mean by that is you've got to record, first and foremost. Then what you've got to do is you've got to import that into your laptop or your PC, and you really want to take it into one of the free audio programs or a paid audio program, and you want to start to analyse that audio and go through part by part and decide what you feel is a capture, and then go deeper even into that actual capture itself and see if it is. I'm really surprised more people don't use this app. A lot of people use EchoVox things. It's really popular, and there is other apps out there that are really good as well. I mean, there's a lot of apps out there that I've watched. I support everybody that does the apps that is working to further the field forward, and there's some really good stuff out there and some really talented people creating these little pieces of software. There's also some things out there which are just copies of things that have been there before. Keep your sessions between 5 and 10 minutes in length. That's number one. For the analysis process, that is going to take you a while to analyse that. Also, on top of that, mindset. I want to really talk about mindset. If you come into using a device like this with a mindset of it does not work, guess what? It's probably not going to work for you. You're going to overlook things, you're going to mishear things, you've already started with a negative attitude, and if any spirit wants to communicate with you with your negative attitude, it's probably going to be pretty darn hard to do. You need to build some type of connection. You have to be respectful. You have to be open-minded. You can't be skeptical and open-minded at the same time. And you really want to come from a position of, during this session, you are in communication with the spirit world. And later on will be your time to go in there and start looking at it critically when you're analysing. I believe that the biggest evidence has and will always come through audio, unless it's an actual sighting by a group of people of an apparition. So, audio is definitely the way that I believe to go, whatever type of way you want to do that. By Mark Kilcris. I hope I pronounced his name properly. By Mark Kilcris. I hope I pronounced his name properly. The VoxBox. The VoxBox. Don't usually do sessions in the house, but let's test it. Don't usually do sessions in the house, but let's test it.
Yes.